anything else, think about this, if it was anything else, everybody in this room right at this moment in time knows of a piece of property, a single-family residence, someplace where you live. Whatever the value is irrelevant. You know of a piece of property, and we'll just use a number for now, that 3 years ago appraised at $400,000. Right or wrong? So that was the... No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't the value. That was the price. The price is different from the value. Y'all with me here? The price was based on the law of supply and demand. I think it's worth this much because I want to live in it and I really like it. Anybody who owns a red convertible, did they buy that car because it's got a great engine and wonderful tires and runs along the road real well? What did they buy it for? Because they look good in a red convertible. Isn't that true? Okay. And the single-family residential arena is based on the law of supply and demand. If there's not much supply and there's a lot of demand, what happens to the price? It goes up. What does that do to the value? Nothing. The value of a piece of real estate, particularly in the residential arena, we're going to get into commercial in just a minute. The value of a piece of real estate is a function of several things. The cost of the land and the cost of the bricks and mortar to put a product on the land, plus a reasonable price as profit for the person who did the work. Does that make sense? Now, a good rule of thumb, I was talking about this with somebody yesterday, a good rule of thumb for residential, and this is not cast in stone, but a good rule of thumb for a lot of residential property is about $100 a square foot, $65, $70 to build it, 30 for the land, and maybe 10 or 15 or 20% as builder or developer profit. So a 1,200 square foot house is worth what? Based on value, about $120,000. I mean, that's the real number. But people are paying how much for a 1,200 square foot house where you live? Huh? Right now, $30,000. Is it worth more? Are they paying more or less than the real value? Less. You couldn't build it for that. That's why it's such a great opportunity today, if that's what you want to do. 3 years ago, what were they paying for that same property? 180, 200,000. Was that worth more or less than the real value? Do you understand? The point that I want to make here is that there's a difference between value and price. And that's where a lot of us come from, because a lot of the experience that we have is in the residential arena. Isn't that true? Now we take that step into the commercial arena, and we're not dealing with those parameters as a determination of value. What are we dealing with? Cash flow. That becomes far more exciting to me, as a person who dealt in the residential arena for years. Cash flow becomes way more exciting than an arbitrarily determined value. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make money in that in that other market. But the nice thing about commercial is it's way more stable, it's way more durable as an income, and you can depend on it way more. Now, does the cycle have impact on commercial just like residential? And the answer is yes, but Gary said it earlier when he said there is no bubble in the commercial arena. The bubble that's going to happen is happening right now. It's about at the bottom. It's not nearly as dramatic as the bubble in residential. Why? Because we don't have those crazy fluctuations of price. Because price in the residential market can go way up and way down, as we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, whereas in the commercial market, cash flow has still run about the same. Isn't that true? So what's happened to price? It's staying very similar or very close to the same. And that's why commercial is such a different product. There is a cycle in commercial. The cycle in commercial has some impact or some relationship to the cycle in residential. Why would that be? Well, here's why. The residential marketplace, as it gets worse, as it begins to hurt more and more, as people get laid off, as unemployment goes up, does that have some impact on people's money supply? And their money supply slows them down from buying stuff at stores. It's probably not going to be as good a Christmas this year as it was a few years ago because people aren't going to spend as much money. The car industry isn't doing nearly as well because people aren't going out and buying new cars. So there is some impact, but it's not a direct impact.